Hey y'all, if you're just getting into pressure washing, then this is the video for you. Here I've got a bunch of different pressure washing accessories and items, and I'm just gonna go over what you need to have the best pressure washing setup that you can buy with your money. We're gonna specifically go over what to look for when you're buying the different parts and pieces so that for auto detailing, you can pressure wash your car well without damaging it. Just keep in mind that you don't need the exact products, but you just want something with a similar specification to it. To start, we have the pressure washer unit, and this thing's a little bulky, which I don't love, but you can get smaller ones. I just picked this one up because it seemed reliable. Pressure washer unit has 1,800 PSI, which is pretty low, and then it's also got 2 gallons per minute, which is the highest rate it can run at. It's an electric pressure washer, so it doesn't need any gas. Inlet for the hose here, and then the output for the pressure washer. It's got 4 different tips on it, a 40 degree, it's got a 25, a 10, and a 0. For car detailing, I only use the 40 degree tip, and it gives a nice wide spray, which you see in a lot of my videos. So the reason I use the 40 degree tip is because it's less likely to damage any of the paint, and it's got enough pressure to really knock off any dirt that you're gonna have on the car. So with the pressure washer, you're gonna want something that's lower PSI. If you use something like a higher PSI, you can really destroy the paint really easily. So for auto detailing specifically, I recommend something around like 1,800, right, what I have there. A lot of people think that PSI is the king. What really matters with a pressure washer is the GPM. So you might notice I have this 40 degree tip actually attached to another unit here, and this is a bent pressure washing wand. It's just good for getting into those wheel wells and also on top of the car without breaking your back or hitting anything because of the bent nature of it. So if I'm trying to get to the top of the car and I'm like spraying vertical, then it's spraying down into the hood, which is really good. And with the wheel wells, feel free to use something a little harder than a 40 degree. I personally don't really worry about the wheel wells too much because it's kind of like just gonna get dirty as soon as you clean it anyways. So I usually just hit it with the 40 degree and call it a day. So you might notice a lot of different connections and pieces here, and I'll show you guys all of them. So this is just a few of them that I'm not using right now. And these are all quick connects because they allow you to quickly detach and reattach different parts of your system, which you're going to be doing a lot of. So as you can see here, I have 2 different quick connects. This is the one I use mostly, and this is so guys, I have 2 quick connects here. This one I have not used because it is a 14 millimeter quick connect, and this one is a 15 millimeter. One thing that's kind of annoying about an electric pressure washer is that these quick connects are not going to work well together. So a gas pressure washer is going to have a 14 millimeter quick connect, while a electric one is going to have a 15 millimeter. And this is a very important difference because it's going to determine whether your pressure washing setup leaks or not if you're using quick connects. This radius on the inside circle, so this whole brass inside piece, that's going to be 14 millimeters of radius, while this really dirty one that I've used a lot is going to be a 15 millimeters radius. And what that means is that if you're plugging into a gas pressure washer, it's most likely going to be a 14 millimeter. So you need to use 14 millimeter quick connects. And if you're using an electric pressure washer, you're going to need a 15 millimeter quick connect. For the pressure washer itself, if it's electric, it's going to have a 15 millimeter outlet. Depending on the hose that you get, you're also going to need to know what the inner diameter of the connection is. For this hose, I believe it was a 14 millimeter because most hoses are meant for gas pressure washers. Most hoses are made for 14 millimeter quick connects. Most electric pressure washers are made for a 15 millimeter quick connect. The gun that usually comes with the pressure washer is going to be a 15 millimeter because it is meant for that electric pressure washer. And the hose that you get with the electric pressure washer is also going to be 15 millimeter. So with my Flexzilla here and also my pressure washing wand, these are both aftermarket, and I've done my research. They're both 14 millimeters. So that means I needed 14 millimeter quick connects to go to the gun and to the pressure washing hose, but I needed a 15 millimeter outlet for the pressure washer unit. So if you connect a 15 millimeter M22 to a 14 millimeter outlet, it's going to leak. And if you try to connect a 15 millimeter MM22 to a 14 millimeter outlet, then it's not going to fit. So you need to make sure that you have that in order so you don't order too many quick connects or you don't order not enough. For the quick connect, it's all pretty much the same. You just want to make sure you get, I believe these are 1/2-inch quick connects. You just want to make sure all of the quick connects are all the same. It won't matter if you have an MM14 15 millimeter and an MM14 15 millimeter, as long as the quick connects are both 1/2 inch on the other side, that it can connect to another quick connector.
What?
I had a nightmare trying to figure this out. So when you're wrapping up after pressure washing, and if your system is something that you want to take apart quickly, quick connect really helps with that. So I have a quick connect on this hose here. I just pull it down, and then I can insert the other end of the quick connect, and bam. It's gonna be no leakage, easy to connect, easy to disconnect. Look at that. Simple. The reason that these are so nice to have is because they allow you to quickly disassemble and reassemble your setup. So this just saves you time when you're pulling out from a mobile detail or going into it and you don't have your system already set up. If you have a more permanent system though, you might not need these. You can just leave it connected and you'd never have to disconnect it. So while we're also on the topic of hoses here, I have this Uberflex hose, which, you know, has a lot of wear on it at this point. It used to be a nice bright green. Now it's a little more dull with different pavement marks on it and all that kind of stuff because I've used it a lot. Usually the kind of pressure washing hose you get with your unit will be really tight and not very flexible. This one I have is like a Flexzilla one. I don't know how much more flexible it is, but it does have a lot more flex than a normal hose, which prevents you from kinking it and, you know, keeps that flow of water consistent. So another thing I have is I have this short wand. These are super nice for getting like easy dexterity, especially when you have a foam cannon attached. It can be kind of heavy and it allows you to work close to the car without hitting it. If you have like a long wand, then you're gonna have to be very far away from the car to pressure wash properly. And if you have a tight space, that can, you know, really get in the way. Like if I wanted to pressure wash inside of this garage, that wouldn't be a thing I could do with that kind of a pressure wand. This short one allows me to get close to the car and have that comfort and dexterity of just basically using my wrist. Like it's just an extension of my wrist. It's not like this huge lance that I'm, you know, trying to work with. All right, guys. So the next thing I have here is a nice flexible hose. These things are super nice. These things shrink when there's no water in them. And then when there's water pressure in them from their source, they expand. When this is like shrunken, it's like maybe, I don't know, like 50, 20 some feet, I don't know, something like that. And then it can expand to like 100 feet. This allows me to go to the backside of someone's house, hook it up, get the water flowing, and then hook it in my pressure washer at the front of the house. It's really got that storage ability to it. And then it's also flexible, so I don't have to worry about kinking. With the hose, you can also get quick connects. It is different than the one for the pressure washer. This gray one here is for the pressure washer. The brass one is for the hose. You can see the hose one's a little fatter, and it's just a different format. Usually when you get a pressure washer, it'll come with a wand that's like extremely long, and this works, but if you're on a real budget, this will do the job. Like I'd have to use 2 hands on it. Whereas with the stubby, I can just use 1 hand, easy peasy. The last thing here is the foam cannon. Now this is gonna be your cream of the wheat. This is the thing you're gonna really want because it helps you quickly apply a ton of soap to the car. And I mean, it saves you a ton of time. I just have the MJC foam cannon, I think is what it's called. Not my favorite cannon, honestly, but it's held up well so far. I don't like it just because the hose on it isn't weighted. Also the neck for filling is really small, so you have to either use a funnel or just slowly pour it with like a measuring cup. Other than that, it's really nice. It's got quality parts to it. So one last thing, with the pressure washer that I have here, it comes with 35 feet of cord, which is a lot, but it might not be enough. And for this unit, it's not that convenient because I have to unwrap it and rewrap it every single time. So what I have is this awesome triple outlet extension cord that I just hooked up to someone's garage and then just trail it next to the car. And then I've got like 3 outlets that I can work between really easily without having to unplug and replug every single time. That you don't want to run too much. So you want to get a big fat extension cord. I believe this one's 12 gauge, which is probably overkill, but I wanted to be sure that wasn't gonna ruin any of my tools by undervolting them. Ginormous fat cord really helps with that. You want to make this transition as seamlessly as possible to get the best pressure washing setup, but there's a lot of thought that goes into it, especially with how electric pressure washers are. So I hope you guys learned a little something today, and as always,